Hey, bro. It's October, and you haven't done a Frightened Friday in, like, months. Have you made one yet, or are you gonna make one?
Oh, yeah, I actually have a good reason for that.
What's that?
It's because at the end of October, by Halloween, me and you are gonna be making a very special skit. My acting is terrible. I'm done. Yeah, I'm not even gonna try and milk it. That was your teaser. That's right, no explanation. We're just getting right into this. What's good, everybody? It's Danny, and welcome back to the Sutter Brother channel, where today I'm finally back with Frightening Friday Season 2. Now, I have a good reason. I have a good enough reason why I haven't made one of these in months. It's because, as you saw in that teaser, I said that I've been waiting to put off Season 2 until October because I want to try in something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time: make skit videos, because that's totally original. But yeah, no, basically, probably every once in a while, I'm gonna try and make a skit video with Dollar Bill or Andy or Remy. I seriously doubt that they would want part of this, so it's probably just mostly me and Dollar Bill. But no more intro. You see the drawing on the board. That means we're back with Llama Arts. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so this first one is called Home Invasion Horror Story Animated. Woo!
It was a cold, foggy evening
so
when I contacted a close friend of mine who stayed at a place for the night.
Smash that like button. Anyway.
Both of us were only 10 years old at the time, and my parents were often at work until midnight, so I was usually alone with nothing to do except watching a television show or reading a book. My friend Alex had agreed to come over and brought a game of Monopoly to pass some of the time.
Come on, he's not this fucking
I also asked if he was interested in going to explore an abandoned subway station 3 miles away. He seemed excited at first, so we planned to go on the trip in the morning. I remembered that the subway dated back to the mid-1920s and became abandoned in 1932 after the market crash in 1929. I was very fascinated about its history, but never got the chance to go inside after my parents had warned me not to enter. As I quietly slept in my bed, I heard what sounded like a gunshot coming from the forest.
Bruh, you got a fucking 15 on your shirt. I can tell your team is losing.
Behind the house. Both of us woke up, frightened after what we had heard, and I told my friend not to worry, as hunters tend to go into the forest on frequent occasions, but when I checked the time, it was 11:39 p.m. This seemed very unusual, as hunters only came into the forest between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m.
Oh yeah, that's not hunting hours, that's scary hours.
I looked at Alex and decided to get out of my bed, intending to look through the window and spot for anyone in the forest. The darkness clouded my vision, so I was unable to see anyone in the forest. I turned around and looked at Alex again, when suddenly I heard the front door squeak open. Chills went down my spine.
I wonder why.
Both of us quietly moved to the bathroom,
Alex,
locked the door, and kept the light off. It was the only safe place in the house.
No.
Both of us were terrified as we desperately tried to keep as calm as we could. We heard footsteps getting louder and louder until they stopped in front of the bathroom door. And then this is when the most terrifying sound forced my heart to almost burst. Both of us screamed as the person chopped the door to pieces.
What, is this The Shining now?
Inside the room, making it hard to find the vent, and by the time I spotted the vent, the person behind the door had made a hole big enough for us to see him.
Oh, hell no!
The man adorned black leather and was wearing a plague doctor mask. I scurried back to the vent, but it was too high above the floor for us to reach it. So Alex told me to go first because he was the strongest.
I don't like birds.
He lifted me up on his shoulders, allowing me to open the vent and crawl inside. When I looked at the door again, the man had managed to fit his arm through the hole and reached for the lock.
Oh,
I quickly grabbed Alex's hand, but struggled to pull him up into the vent.
Alex!
No!
I shouted, and began going after him. I pursued the figure until I was led to the abandoned subway deep within the forest. It was chilly and foggy, meaning that I could only see objects within a range of 5 or 6 yards. Inside the subway was a pool of freezing cold water. It was so dark that I couldn't see anything. I had to rely on listening to the screams from Alex and track the source. As I slowly walked through the subway, I was now struggling to breathe under the intense stress and fear of the situation. I called, but there was no response.
That actually really surprised me.
I continued walking through the water until the exit was no longer visible.
I thought he was going to be like, Alex!
I was now experiencing a massive panic attack.
Hey,
I had lost track of Alex.
Get over here, man.
I had no idea where I was or how to get out. Where are you, Alex?
Where the fuck are you, Alex? Oh. What was that? On October 19, 1983, Alex was confirmed dead? He was found inside the ticket office hanging? Dude. His closest friend remains missing. Wait, what? What? Yo, that's the end? Yo, that... Oh my god, yo. It's been so long since I got chills this badly. Like, for real? Oh my god. Okay, but one question though. How was he able to tell the story? Like word for word. My closest friend Alex came over and we started playing board games, and it was 11 o'clock at night. Like how did all that translate into the story? If the kid who was telling the story is still missing, that makes no sense. Thank you to the Spectre for the great fictional story. Hope y'all enjoyed the. Oh, come on, man! Alright, guys, so this next story is called A Creepy Deep Web Horror Story 2 Animated. Now, a while back, I did check out the first one. It was really creepy.
I was 26
so I really
years
hope
old,
this one is the same.
And I was unemployed. Feeling unfulfilled by the monotony of a job life, I decided I would try my hand at working from home. So my days and nights comprised me of surfing the internet for any jobs I could get. I was a big procrastinator, so more often than not I'd stray away and waste time doing other things. One day, I came across talk about the deep web on Reddit. I felt amused by the people talking about it as if it was something so scary, and decided I'd look into it. It was stupid of me to go on it in the first place, but I made it even sillier by deciding to check it out late at night. It was about 2 a.m. and I came across a website where you could chat with someone anonymously. The person I got was a woman. She was in her early 20s and very pretty. She sat with her head in her hands, looking playful into the webcam while batting her eyes. I had no desire to turn my camera on and started our chat, thinking that while I didn't come across anything scary, I could befriend this pretty girl. It sounded like a better deal anyway. She told me to turn the camera on.
Bro, you know, rizz her up, bro.
And tried to get her to talk. She finally did after some prodding, but I noticed how guarded she was. I also noticed how after every message I sent, her eyes would look off camera, either to her side or somewhere behind her computer.
Why am I getting the chills already?
After a while, it started getting
I'm just
annoying,
a pussy, yo.
so I asked her if someone else was there with her.
I want to see you first.
She said. Up until now, I'd been chatting while she'd answered my questions verbally. I'm not that curious.
Don't be scared.
She said, laughing, this time looking behind the laptop again and making a face that seemed to indicate she was laughing at my expense, with someone else. This is getting boring. It feels like I'm not just talking to you.
That's because you're not. You're talking.
My God, does nothing satisfy this man?
Turn your camera on.
Is this a joke?
No.
Turn it on.
Okay. I'll be leaving now.
Turn on the camera.
Or
the
what?
laughter was almost piercing by now. There was nothing humorous about the situation.
What's so damn funny?
She threw her head back with raucous laughter. I'd had enough and moved the cursor over to turn the chat box off when I saw the cursor had jammed. The only thing that was working was the chat box.
The cursor jammed. Okay, yeah, we heard that before.
Turn the camera on, sweetie.
Her gumdrop-filled voice was louder than before, and I moved my gaze up to see her smiling toothfully at the camera. Her face still beautiful, but the smile completely fake.
That camera is off, right?
My computer's crashed. I can't see the screen. Sorry. I lied. I didn't want her to know I had no option but to chat. Her screen flashed before going blank. There was nothing there but a black screen. I felt relieved, thinking that at least I didn't need to talk to her while I tried to figure out what happened to the screen. Just then, a chat message popped up.
Open the damn camera, you...
Oh,
The aggressiveness in the message frightened me. Now, the fact that I couldn't see her face while she typed this made me feel nervous. I didn't dare reply back, but then the cursor moved. I watched shell-shocked as the cursor twirled around the screen.
Open the camera now.
I still didn't make a move. There was no way anything good would be waiting for me if I did what she asked. The screen began flickering, as if a virus was causing the computer to writhe in agony.
Do you want me to find you?
My heart raced. Could it be possible she knew where I was? I started typing. Please stop bothering me.
Then turn on the fucking camera.
Oh my
By
gosh,
this
she
point,
means
I thought
business.
she was some kind of sadist who got her kicks by scaring unassuming people in chat rooms.
She's not playing no more.
So I obliged and turned the webcam on.
No!
I saw my
would you do
frightened
that?
face staring into the screen. Judging by my face, my attempts at looking tough were painfully unsuccessful. I asked around
Hey,
for
you
the
know,
girl
you don't
looking
always
straight
have
into
to
the
rely
camera,
on your mouse.
telling her
You're
I
always
did what
sitting
she
here,
wanted and
you're
to stop
sitting here
hacking
thinking,
into
oh
my
well,
computer.
I can't move my
There
mouse,
were
which means I
several
can't get out
seconds
of the,
silence.
what is, I don't even know what this is.
Kept
Oh,
my stare directed to
the
little
deep web.
box
I
that
can't get out of
showed
the
her
deep
camera
web.
feed, but it was pitch black. I
When
motioned
you can
into
just
the camera in
turn off the
confusion,
router.
feeling as if she was messing with me now. Then I saw another message.
Look here.
Or, you know, just like
After a few
smash the
seconds of
computer.
staring at those words, I looked back at her camera, but my computer instantly malfunctioned, and I received another message.
Look here. Don't look up.
The
Don't look
chat
up?
was filled with nonsensical gibberish. She typed with such ferocious speed, my screen whirled away with her constant messages. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I didn't look up. My patience ran thin, and I wrote back, "What is this supposed to mean?" Her response came. I read only the letters in bold and shuddered. I looked back into her webcam, and I fell back into my chair, my eyes widening. She was back there.
The letters were in bold. Oh,
Her face looked completely demented. She had a savage expression, devoid of emotion. But her eyes were almost popping out of their sockets, and she was huffing.
yeah, no,
as
I
if
can
she
see
had extreme amounts
a
of
little bit of
pent-up
red
rage.
around her
The way
eyeballs.
she looked directly into the camera made me feel she
Her
despised
big old
me
bug
with
eyes.
all of her being. There was no amusement there anymore. Her camera went blank again, and the chat popped up.
Look
My
up.
heart stopped again. For a split second, there had been the same blackness, only for the lights to come back on. She wasn't alone anymore. There was a man next to her with a black mask on. He made no movements other than look into the camera like the girl.
Oh my god, no, is that one of the...
Girl's neck
Oh!
creaked to her side. It looked like it was causing her pain. And then the lights went
Oh,
out
and
again.
of course he's wearing one of
The
those
chat
Dr.
resumed.
Plague masks.
This time, I screamed in
Ugh.
fright and fell off my chair. There was another man with them now.
Really?
He was standing
The
next
Wilhelm
to the
scream?
girl with the original one on the other side. This man had the same mask on, but his hands were grasping the girl's shoulders. Even with the subpar quality of the webcam, I could see the force with which the man dug his hands into the girl. It looked like he could rip her in two. The girl, however, had a huge grin on her face. Her eyes were mad with glee, or so it looked.
You wanna know how I got these scars?
Her teeth were perfectly lined up as her mouth spread into that toothy grin, but I could see she was in pain. Even with the smallest sign of her smile fading, the man clenched his hands even tighter than before, which made her smile even wider. All three of them were shaking, as if it was extremely cold where they were. After a couple seconds, I realized they were shuddering, like trying to hold back laughter.
What are you laughing at?
I yelled into the screen. They didn't answer, and continued to tremor with concealed hilarity.
What is so damn funny?
You ain't gonna
I
do
bellowed.
shit. Calm that voice
They
down.
stopped shaking. Within a couple seconds, the screen went black again.
Ah, no.
When it turned back on, the man no longer grasped the girl's shoulder. Neither was
You
she smiling.
ugly ass motherfucker!
All three pointed into the camera. Upon a closer look, I understood that they weren't pointing at me.
No!
They were pointing behind me. I didn't need to look back. I could see myself in the webcam. There was someone peeking from behind me. It was another man in a mask, and according to what I saw on my webcam, he was with me in my room, right behind me. I turned around quickly, but saw nothing where I had seen him in the webcam. I turned back towards the screen and, to my bewilderment, saw a third man in the girl's chat box. It was the same man I had just seen standing in my room. Now, all three had their hands on the girl and were gripping tight. The girl wasn't laughing anymore. She had a look of utter devastation. A tear was dropping from her eye, but it wasn't just a tear. It was blood trickling down her
Oh, I hate that.
She then mouthed the words, "Help me," and the next second she screamed as if her lungs were being ripped off as the screen went black. I immediately got up and pulled the plug out of my computer and backed out of the room. For a couple seconds, I swear I heard her screams, even though the computer was unplugged. The room went quiet, but I was too devastated to stay
guys,
there.
I haven't been this
and
so.
ran out of my
I
house
have not been
despite
this
it being
scared
3
in
a.m.
so long.
I caught a cab and went over to my friends, who had to talk me down for an hour before I could be calmed. I returned back to my house with my friend a day later. Everything was the same. And after thoroughly
y'all went back
checking
at
around
night?
the house, we concluded that there was no one
You should have
there,
went to the morning.
nor was there a sign of anyone ever having broken in.
Okay, there's no one in the house, but let me check the cookie jar.
I've never gone back to the deep web. My friend suggested it might have been some prank by computer hackers, but the way that girl shrieked, the terror she had on her
And for a
face,
split second,
convinced
there
me
was
she had
blood.
been a victim herself.
I'm
I
coming out from her
wondered if I
neck.
had stayed on for longer, if I would have become a victim too. Could those men have found me? Was there really someone in the room with me? There was nothing I could do, because there was nothing concrete to report to the police. What I did do was throw the computer out and buy a new
There you
one.
go.
There was no way I could even open it back up after what happened.
Nah, I don't believe that. Nah. Why the fuck would you do that? At the very last frame of the video. Okay. Woo! Okay, so that last one really freaked me out. Y'all even see my reactions? I was just like this, holding my shoulders. I'm keeping the chills down, and I'm my fists on my mouth like this. Have my hand behind my neck. Oh my god, Mama Arts, you are just spitting out bangers after banger after banger. I swear, you are the king. You are the king. But yes, let's go ahead and move on to one more. Alright, so this last video for tonight is called The Roommate. Animated.
Looking for a new roommate is always a daunting task. Even though you interview and take the time to get to know that person, you don't truly find out
by the
who
way,
they are until you start living with them.
I have
I'd
had
begun searching for
a few roommates.
after I decided to leave my
About
current
3 of them.
residency. I was
In the
contacted a couple
last
of hours
ones
after placing an ad
were
on Facebook Marketplace. The message
boyfriend and
read,
girlfriend and their kid
Hey Chris,
were actually my.
I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August, and I'm looking for
It's complicated. I'm not gonna sit here and give you a long
I'm
explanation about that.
27 and I'm currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies.
Let's just say the boyfriend guy was my stepbrother, and his son is my stepnephew.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Lunaire.
My first and most obvious reaction after reading the message was to check her profile. She was of medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder.
Hey,
they each
what's
adorned
up,
goofy
girl?
grins and held up peace signs.
I'm talking
Under
about
the photo,
the
the
brown
caption
hair
read,
one.
"Love my roommates." I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back.
Hey!
The sun beat down on us.
Who was
as we
that?
hoisted
Who the hell was
various
that?
objects to the second floor of our new apartment.
Watching me.
It took us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies. After a couple more hours of rearranging, we each grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the porch.
Duff.
We reminisced about old 90s cartoons and what video games we obsessed over as kids, and as the sun started to set, I truly felt relaxed and confident that things were going to work out.
Nah, I'm finna
A week
ask her
later,
out, you feel
I
me?
started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I
Finna
was
start
getting
my
ready,
wrist
I
game.
heard the front door swing open. I walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David sliding in a large box. "What you got there?" I asked. Through a strained grunt, she replied,
I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright.
Obviously
no,
first,
we did not talk about this before.
Place, but I eventually accepted and returned to my room to continue getting ready for work. I came home at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends and noticed that the freezer was nestled snugly in the lower part of the pantry. A low hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went into my room and changed into more comfortable clothing. After changing, I came back out into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed. As I turned around, I stubbed my toe onto the island countertop and let out a long, exasperating grunt. Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised my head back up, I was greeted by a shadowy figure. Lunaire was standing in the doorway leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost seemed to envelop her.
Is everything okay?
She said in a deadpan tone.
She an NPC?
Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you.
It's fine,
she said, in the same deflated tone as before. She then turned around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could tell that she was pissed, so I quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well, only hearing the low hum from the
Hey, Lunaire, you want a PB&J? I was making one for myself, and I want to see if you want one.
I was able to sleep in a little longer than usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air escaping from inside.
The freezer.
I turned around and flipped the light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough,
wasted all the power.
The power was out. Damn it, I muttered under my breath. I walked over to Lunaire's room and knocked on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry. As I did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. "What the?" I angrily exclaimed as I looked down at the floor trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood. It had started to leak from the corner of the freezer
man!
To the floor.
No!
I tried to open the freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a padlock attached to it. I don't remember seeing that before. I ran out to my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat.
Okay, there's a bunch of red flags right here. First, there's blood on the floor, all over the floor. 2, there's a padlock on the freezer that was not there before. There are so many red flags right here. She said that she does what's it called, taxidermy class. Yeah, that's a relatively normal hobby. Why would she put a padlock on the freezer that only has animals inside it? Why would she do that? I'm gonna tell y'all why. There's no animals in there. What y'all think is in that freezer? I'm gonna give you a minute. A whole person is in that freezer.
I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small pair of bolt cutters and snapped through the metal of the padlock. It fell to the ground with a large thud. I creaked open the top of the freezer and was greeted with a putrid stench that permeated my nostrils. I quickly pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response. "I guess I should have realized that was gonna happen," I muttered to myself in between.
This guy, man!
After gaining my composure, I grabbed some gloves
my dad would
from
say
the sink and started taking
this
inventory.
Were me. Which this totally is, by the way.
A couple of dead birds and plastic bags
I'd be
wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can.
And my dad just be like,
"This guy, man." That the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag.
Oh!
I don't know why, but I decided to open the top of the bag and peer inside. I was greeted by large, milky white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounded by cracked and bloated lips, and the matted hair of a human
no.
head. I swiftly dropped the bag and
Who
fell
is that, though?
backwards onto the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it. I then ran out the door, got into my car, and called the police. As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate. The one she said was moving to California.
No, not the baddie!
When the detective entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day, and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but for some reason I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something. That's when I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge.
That's why she put the
Cold sweat
padlock
started to form
on.
my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper.
I know exactly what he whispered into her ear just now.
Hey, how you doing, little mama? Let me whisper in your ear. Tell you something that you might like to hear.
Nah, but for real though, you want to give me some head after you done interrogating this asshole? Here's my IP.
Do you have somewhere you could stay at? She
Ha! See?
I
She
mean,
wants
I
to
was
wrap
planning
up
on
this
staying
interview.
with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town.
Yeah.
Okay, she paused. Listen, I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment. She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt
Give the
like
chills.
someone kicked me
Every
in the
time,
chest.
every time I sense
The head of
danger,
Lunaire's
the
other
hair on my back of
roommate
my
sat in the
neck
chair.
starts to shiver. Oh, what the fuck?
Background scrawled on the wall in blood read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
What did they do, though? But did they make a huge mess? They always take your labeled food out of the fridge? I know roommates could be annoying, but for real? Alright, you guys, that's gonna do it all for the 7th episode of Season 2 of Friday and Friday. If y'all enjoyed, make sure to this video like, subscribe, and comment down below what you thought. And if you want to be notified every time I upload new videos, click the bell icon. And if you guys are excited for new upcoming skits, then let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to go subscribe to Llama Arts. They are making real banger animations. They're just so good. Link in the description below, as well as the original videos in the description below. But with all that being said, guys, I'll see y'all in the next video. Deuces.